Here we have it, the final round of the 2013 Winter Series of Covkartsport gets underway here at Rednal. One of the qualifying sessions of the lightweights here on board with me and Neil Vincent at Rednal, which is you'll be able to see on the track. It's a bit damp. You can see a puddle on the right hand side just there. You'll see more puddles as we go around the circuit, but there's 16 karts on track for this qualifying session. Wet line has to be took. We're on slicks, so we'll have to make the corners go around the corners wider. As you can see there, someone on the right hand side slipping it near into the barrier. Gets a bit drier as onto this new piece of different piece of track. Basically the whole straight here was dry, but you can see the chicane was wet and the rest of the track is wet. So you can see there, you've just gone onto a bit of a wet patch. Struggling with the kart a bit because obviously rain equals slippy. It wasn't overly wet. It was damp. A few puddles in places. Wet line had to be took at most corners, but some you could just clip the kart near on the curb. Drivers fighting for track position here as I try to overtake this kart down to the first corner. On the outside I'll have the better line as it's wet and we're on slicks. My main right championship rival Ben Davies is just ahead. In the red suit going up the inside of both karts there and the red helmet. So basically we all there were 16 out, 16 lightweights out at the minute here. There was another lightweights qualifying session just after. They would have had a better, drier track, so they theoretically should have gone quicker. But we'll see. You'll be able to see at the end of the session. I'll tell you whether they got that quick, they were quick or not, and where I ended up. But yeah, again, you can see slippy around there, but you can clip the inside of that curve. Usually go wide and round. Here, get a nice tight turning so you can make this corner. Probably the best line to take around there. And here, don't go too wide because you want a nice flat run around that final corner so you don't have to lift off and you can keep it flat, carry maximum speed out of that corner. Bit of space now. No car bar bent ahead in the near distance. No one would hold me up. So it was about finding that perfect line, finding where the grip was where the most grip was in each of the corners, and then putting them together to make the perfect lap. So just a bit of experimentation at the minute. You could run over this that kind of creamed colour curb. You could run completely over it. That was completely legal to do. In this section of the track, a few tight corners here. That last one and these next two here. A tad tricky in the wet. I remember in the summer or winter must have been the winter, I span around in qualifying once in that section we just came out of. Nothing too big, no biggie. And as I said earlier, Ben Davies, my championship rival, going into this round he's 2 points behind, so we were fighting for the lightweights championship. You can probably tell that I'm catching up to him in these wet conditions. I am a real big fan. If anyone who doesn't know me won't know that I'm a big fan. Anyone who does know me knows I absolutely love wet conditions. Damp conditions are still good for me. I do love to race where there's not much grip whatsoever. But yeah, coming round this last half of the track here, this is where Ben said he did struggle, and that's where I noticed I caught up to him quite a bit over the course of the qualifying session. Almost approaching 5 minutes now, which will almost be halfway through the session here. So taking this fast right-hander, sticking to the outside of the track. As you can see, I had to pull the kart left a bit there to avoid spinning around, so this lap won't be the cleanest of laps. And again, keeping to the outside around turn 2. Turn 3 will do exactly the same, so you can get the car in and around the corner and get your power down as you enter this chicane here. Wet as you enter the chicane and wet as you exit. Dry as you exit, sorry. But not for long as you enter this corner. You can see more water on the track, which is still slippy. So best time will probably be set at the end of the session, as it wasn't raining at this point, it was just drying out. Bit of water on the camera lens at the bottom middle of the screen. Clipping both of them curbs there. You can take a relatively, what is usually a dry line through there without having too much of a problem. But I did really like racing these damp conditions. Well, qualifying in these damp conditions, I should say. You can really see now I have caught up to Ben. It was quite motivational, I think that's the right word. It pushed me on to try and keep going and trying to get more out of that car. I knew if I could catch him in qualifying, then I'd have a pretty damn good chance of getting pole. He takes a different line to me around here. I cut in and use this inside curve, whereas he takes a much wider, more of a wetter line. I felt confident that there was quite a nice bit of grip to use that line. Ben gets through nice and comfortable there. I have to back out a little bit, so this lap will not be one of my best. He lets me through there though, so I can start a new one. But yeah, so Ben was 2 points behind going into this round. You get 20 points for a race win, 19 for second, 18 for third, and so on. You also get a point for getting pole in your qualifying session, and you also get a point for the fastest lap in your race as well. So 43 points up for grabs in total, with two races after this qualifying session, which I will upload after this. Taking that dry line, I was around there, getting my Ben stuck to a wet one. Caught up a lot through there. But you can see he took the inside line through there. He pulled away going around that corner, but as he exited it, that was where I managed to catch up. So right on him now, and you'll see going around this corner, I could do catch up mid-corner, but he pulls away as we exit it. Coming down into turn 2 now. But the first half of the track is where he pulled away a little. You can see the gap now. But it's the second half where I managed to catch him up. Going down into the chicane here. I think, yeah, this is the lap where this happens. Wasn't too happy that I did that. I didn't spot the yellow he was waving in his little cabin thingy. It was not easy to see. I doubt if you'll have been able to see that either. But it opened some space up for me again, I guess, so it wasn't too bad. But yeah, going into that chicane, I didn't notice until I was like going around it, and it was too late to take any action. I managed to get the front, missing with the front end of the car, but the rear end is wider, and that unfortunately clipped him and put me into a spin. So starting another lap now. This is where you really want to put your laps down, because you've got a lot of space on track. I can't see anyone in the near distance. So you want to get your a good lap in case you run into traffic on your next lap or so. I think the laps we were doing as you can see there's a car who's hit the barrier. Could have used the full exit, I would have wanted to. Not many marshals on this track. So if someone had a spin, when they tried to retrieve them, you wouldn't see any yellows being waved, because they can't wave a flag and pick a car up at the same time. Again, sticking to that dry line through that section. Track's drying up a little bit now, and in these conditions, where it's not raining and it's damp or wet. Best lap will be set at the end, which is why I didn't think pole would be possible, because the next group of lightweights would have had a dry track. But this is my last lap now, which I'm sure was my fastest lap. Taking a wet line through these first few corners here, pretty good so far. Down into this tight left-hander, going very wide, getting the car, using a nice wide line through there, using as much track as I possibly could. Taking this chicane, quite tricky because you have to take a dry line through there regardless, so you have to slow down more than way much more than you would in the dry. Again here I stick to that normal dry line, clipping that curb, getting right on it. On this curb here again, car ahead, but he won't be any trouble. We're entering the last section of the lap now. As I said, this was my best lap. Last two corners here, took them pretty well. Take the last corner, run the car out wide, stick on the right hand side for the shortest run to line, and I can tell you that was pole for this session. I was quite pleased with that, over 7 tenths to Ben Davis, and after the second lightweight, I still kept pole even though they had a dry track, which I was happy with that. So watch the races, make sure you do, they'll be good.